Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. Changing up the intro tuneskis just a little bit because CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, seems to be having a little Wofitsky on me lately. What's up, Woj? Good Lord, you seem to have a real special affinity for my humble little channel. You don't have anything better to do than to mess with me? You want to come at me? Bring it.
Oh, it's already been brought.
Whatever then. Let me get warmed up. Like a boss right there. How many we got, John?
10.
All right, sweet. Let's do it. 2086, 34 minutes after the hour of 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Q gives us a little excerpt from this link right here. And we're going to go into this document. This is a Uranium One transaction document. And I just want to start you off with the part that Q has cued us into. As the Russians gradually assumed control of Uranium One in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013, Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way to the Clinton Foundation. We all knew that, right? Uranium One's chairman used his family foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million. Those contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement Mrs. Clinton had struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well. And shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium One, Mr. Clinton received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin. Okay. Well, it goes on to say here, Q gives us this in brackets, letter from Committee on Financial Services, which is actually in this group of documents here. Maxine Waters, California ranking member. She is indeed. You can see right here. Here's the Financial Services Committee. And look right there at the top. Boom, boom, boom. Maxine Waters, Beyond Thunderdome. And then we get this link, which is one I just took you to. How do you obstruct oversight? Well, I guess you make Mad Max the overseer. How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed-door financial investigations? Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit, but I would suppose if you want inside knowledge, you got to be an insider. And Maxine Waters is a bit of an insider. She's a California ranking member. Those who were the loudest, and of course that's Mad Max, right? Have the most to fear. Hide. What does she have to hide? Let's take a look at this video right here.
Well, since we live in a world, excuse me, where pro wrestling references are now the very same thing as violent threats, one wonders what to make of remarks that California Congresswoman and progressive hero Maxine Waters recently made about HUD Secretary Ben Carson. During a speech on Saturday in New Orleans, Waters said that when Carson appears before her congressional committee, quote, "I'm going to take his ass apart," excuse me. Quote, "Carson knows nothing about the mission of HUD," Waters continued. "He doesn't care about people in public housing. He believes that if you are poor, it is your fault, and he doesn't know the difference between an immigrant and a slave," whatever that means. Now, we've mocked Maxine Waters before in this show, but we should take her seriously on this subject. Congresswoman Waters is a confirmed expert on the question of housing, especially her own housing. Consider where she lives. In a 6,000 square foot, $4.3 million mansion in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Now, how'd she afford a place like that after having spent the last 40 years working in government? We'd hate to speculate. How does she keep getting reelected despite not living in her own congressional district? No clue there either. The district Waters actually represents in Congress has the second highest percentage of African American residents in the state of California. Now, the neighborhood where Waters actually lives is just 6% black, or as she might put it herself, if she didn't live there, it's segregated, like 1950s level segregated. And as we mentioned, it's really, really rich. So how did Maxine Waters pull off a housing coup like that? Who knows, but it almost qualifies her to be HUD secretary herself.
Some good questions there, Tucker. How does a public servant like Mad Maxine Waters make so much money? Maybe she invested wisely. Facebook, you think? Nike, maybe? Well, we do know back in 2015, she invested in some global allocation funds, right? BlackRock. Wait a minute, BlackRock, they're connected to Russia. That's ironic because you see, you're trying to impeach Trump over his Trump-Russia connections, and here you are, all connectipated. And wait a minute, is this One United Bank? Is that the same One United Bank that you helped bail out a few years ago? The same one that your husband sits on the board of? And that CEO, Kevin Cohen, he was blowing a bunch of that up his nose, wasn't he?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
You're right about that, Rick James. Well, we are over here on that FBI.gov link, and I'm just going to cruise you through some of this, starting you on page 3, where we see what looks to be kind of a cover letter here. And this is in regards to the transaction. We have no idea who drafted. This has all been redacted here. This document contains information obtained for the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS. This information is confidential, Okay. Now, we'll cruise down to here, page 5, and we see a letter to this Honorable Jacob Lew regarding media reports have raised questions regarding the review and investigation by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. Okay, this is regarding all the suspicions basically going on here. And this was drafted by the chairman, Jeb Henseling, Committee on Financial Services, and he CC'd the Honorable Maxine Waters. Okay, so now we go down to page 7 and we see this letter to Secretary Lew, and this is regarding personal concerns, and this was drafted by United States Senator John Barrasso. And let me just read you the opening header here. Dear Secretary Lew, I am contacting you regarding my continued concerns regarding national security implications of Russian government ownership of American uranium services. Okay, so this was brought up. And I also want to point out here in the second paragraph, he says, I wrote President Obama in December 2010 to express my strong concerns and make sure the administration did not take steps to undermine our national security. And then you see in the next couple pages here on page 9, this is the actual letter to Obama. I am contacting you to express my strong concerns regarding the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's NRC recent decision to approve the sale of American uranium reserves. Okay, so looks to me like Obama knew about it, right? Okay, so let's take you down now to page 15. There's a lot of good stuff in here, but we're just going to cruise you down here. Page 15, the power to say no. When a company controlled by the Chinese government sought a 51% stake in a tiny Nevada gold mining operation in 2009, it set off a secretive review process in Washington, where officials raised concerns primarily about the mine's proximity to a military installation, but also about the potential for minerals at the site, including uranium, to come under Chinese control. The officials killed the deal. All right. And then we're going to go down to 16, and we're going to see that this is where they start talking about the Clinton Foundation donations. Now on page 17, I find this particular interesting. This starts to talk about this Mr. Telfer, and that's Ian Telfer, the chairman of Uranium One. But a review of tax records in Canada, where Mr. Telfer has a family charity called the Fernwood Foundation, shows that he donated millions of dollars more during and after the critical time when the Foreign Investment Committee was reviewing his deal with the Russians. With the Russians offering a special dividend, shareholders like Mr. Telfer stood to profit. Well, we pretty much knew that already. His donations through the Fernwood Foundation included $1 million reported in 2009. The year his company appealed to the American embassy to help it keep its mines in Kazakhstan. All right, well, they were mining a bunch of uranium out there in Kazakhstan too, weren't they? So this guy, Ian Telfer, we already knew about him, but I wanted to point out this family foundation that he had, this Fernwood Foundation. And here it is, Family Foundation. Would you look at that? How about that? Have you seen this logo before? I'm sure you have. It's the same pedo logo that we see everywhere else. Coincidence? I think not. So we can see that there's a lot at stake here, right? And those who are the loudest have the most to fear. And of course, that's Mad Max, right? She's going beyond Thunderdome trying to hide all this stuff. She's telling people to just go accosting people on the street or when they're trying to eat out at the Red Hen. Well, money talks. And it looks like a lot of money was doing a lot of talking. Not anymore, Mad Max, not anymore. Post 2087, 50 minutes after the hour of 10 a.m., Q takes us back to their post from yesterday, and it was this tweet storm from Hillary Clinton, 17 tweets. And today, Q adds on with some more tweets. Being afraid, example 2. And we've got another tweet storm from our favorite deep state knucklehead, Hillary Clinton. If Brett Kavanaugh becomes a Supreme Court justice, will he help gut or overturn Roe versus Wade, which legalized abortion in America? Yes, of course he will. A few weeks before Kavanaugh's name appeared on President Trump's shortlist for a new justice, Kavanaugh praised the dissent in the Roe versus Wade case and called former Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist his hero, noting that he clearly wanted to overrule Roe. Okay, well, at this point in the hearings, a prospective judge cannot talk about what they may or may not rule on certain situations, whether they'll overturn something or not. And of course, that was a big sticking point made by Ruth Ginsburg. But of course, since it's not helping out the deep state, now they're not playing by their own rules. So here's another tweet storm. Wow, Hillary. The butthurtitude overfloweth from within thee. She doth protest too much. Well, Q goes on to say, witch hunt. Now, we've heard President Trump refer to this whole investigation into Trump-Russian collusion, calling it a witch hunt over and over and over again. But the fact of the matter is that the real witch hunt is to go after this witch right here. And she knows that once Kavanaugh becomes a Supreme Court justice, all her life's work is going to come crumbling down, including the legalized killing of babies. So, sorry, Hillary Clinton. Score 1 for the White Hats. Hillary Clinton 0.
I don't care what you think.
I don't care what you think either, so you can step off. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, I bet Hillary Clinton's a little bit afraid of this.
American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be.
They can be.
They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government, collaborate with the enemy of the nation.
Oh, yeah, I guess the punishment could be very severe. Smells like fear to me, and it's starting to smell like a Whopper with bacony, cheesy goodness. You like that smell, don't you, Linda? Yeah, that's what I thought. Post 2088, 39 minutes after the hour of 11, we get a picture of one of my other favorite broskies, Jack Posobiec. Wait, what? You're telling me Q just posted again? But Micro told me he was ending the LARP. I feel so used, ugh. Ask yourself a simple question, says Q. A simple, logical question. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro-MAGA supporters coming from AJ, being Alex Jones, MOS-backed, and or AJ known associates? Why are we a threat to them? Why not simply publish an original picture, plus or negative 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? Why was this done in the past? We knew this type of attack was coming. Predictable. Fake news. Attacks will only intensify. Jack Posobiec's masterpiece can be found over here at One America News Network. It took him forever, but he finally got it out. 10-minute video called Exposed. Creator of QAnon speaks for the first time, and he goes to interview this voice-altered personality named Microchip, who's been around for a while, ended up trolling Jack in returns. Rather funny. I personally don't get a lot of entertainment value out of this kind of stuff. I'm busy researching. That being said, there's a lot of this stuff, and if you're new to QAnon and you get worried about a video like this, please don't flood my inbox with it. A lot of this stuff is really just trash, and I know it may concern you or whatnot, but the fact of the matter is that nothing's been able to debunk Q so far. It has stood the test of time, and for good reason, and Q's going to go on to say why. So we're not going to spend much time on Jack. Jack, I tried to warn you politely a bunch of times, but you didn't listen. You didn't listen, Jack. You didn't listen. All right. Well, Q says ask yourself a simple, logical question. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro-MAGA supporters coming from Alex Jones, who is what? MOS backed. Yeah, think about Alex Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had good things to say about Alex Jones in the past, but the fact of the matter is that these days, Time Warner, that's Ted Turner, this guy's got a ton of Mossad backing from over the years. And of course, his father was a clown too. He's a quote-unquote dentist for the CIA and da-da-da-da. Alex Jones has got a lot of ifs going on, right? And I don't like to spend my time trash talking other people like that. But the fact of the matter is that there's clear connections here with Mossad, and that's very, very dangerous, right? That kind of information is very dangerous. And a lot of Alex Jones associates, Ala Corsi, Jack Posobiec, okay? These guys are pro-MAGA outwards, but for some reason we're a threat to them. Well, why would that be? Could it be that we're not getting the news from them anymore? That we're not really tuning into their videos anymore? Is that what it is? Is it the fact that maybe Mossad doesn't exactly want to get all the MAGA truth out there? Could it be that? Well, why not simply publish an original picture, plus or minus 1 or 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility? And we're going to talk about that. Q's done quite a bit of that in really over the course of all these Q posts, right? Why was this done in the past? For the very, very purpose of when people like this come out with the big bombshell exclusive, it falls flat on its face and no one's been able to debunk Q. We knew this type of attack was coming. Yeah, they prepared before they even began. Predictable, fake news. Attacks will only intensify Q. I think you get the idea. They weren't prepared for this. The Q team planned for all of this before they even went to war. And what is that? That's Sun Tzu. And we see the application of the art of war here in 2089, 1 minute after the hour of 12 Eastern Standard Time. Q takes us back to November 9th, where Q posted Air Force One 5A2. And you can see the picture here. This was from President Trump's Asia trip in Air Force One. And there's Air Force One 5A3. Now, these were just taken within seconds of each other. And Q says, regarding why not post an original picture, plus or minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility. Example 1 goes on to give you the example that I just showed you right here. Air Force One 5A2 posted on November 9th. And the second one, 5A3, was posted on May 22nd. 2-second stream, meaning 2 seconds in between each other. Okay, well, this goes back to the future proves past thing, right? There's going to be a lot of people coming out trying to clown Q, saying anybody could take these pictures, but these were all original pictures. And Q has mentioned this before. These are all original pictures. So it's going to be very, very hard to debunk that, isn't it? That's because the Q team was prepared, predictable. This is not a game. These people are stupid. Let's remember what Sun Tzu had to say about this. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Okay, well, listen, this Q plan has been a plan a long time coming, probably years in the making, right? And that's why Q can say so confidently, trust the plan. Q's not saying trust the plan because we're all just trying to be hopeful and hope for the best, right? Hope is what you do when you've already given up hope, okay? When you trust the plan, it's because you put so much time and painstaking effort into this plan, anticipating every counter move and counter activity. And that's exactly what we're seeing play out right now. Meanwhile, the deep state are the defeated warriors. They're reacting to everything. Everything we see them do is emotionally based, okay? And that becomes exhausting. When a warrior shows up already exhausted, they're going to lose the fight. And everything they're doing is simply reactive, and we're watching it in its grand theater, the art of war. Post 2090, 44 minutes after the hour of 12 Eastern Standard Time, we get a New York Times link, and we're talking about another one of AJ's buddies. Jerome Corsi, conspiracy theorist, is subpoenaed in Mueller investigation. Jerome Corsi, a conspiracy theorist and political commentator with connections to the former Trump advisor Roger J. Stone Jr., has been subpoenaed to testify on Friday before the grand jury in the special counsel investigation into Russia's election interference and whether Trump associates conspired with the effort, his lawyer said on Wednesday. The lawyer, David Gray, said that he anticipates that investigators for the special counsel, Robert S. Mueller III, plan to ask Mr. Corsi about his discussions with Mr. Stone, who appeared to publicly predict in 2016 that WikiLeaks planned to publish material damaging to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. He fully intends to comply with the subpoena, Mr. Gray said, adding that the subpoena was not specific about the topic, but that he and his client anticipated it has to do with his communications with Roger Stone. Mr. Mueller's team appeared to be zeroing in on Mr. Stone as a possible nexus between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, which was used by Russian intelligence officers to spread information stolen from Democrats. Stolen from Democrats, are you sure? According to an indictment by Mr. Mueller's team. Another former associate of Mr. Stone, the New York political gadfly Randy Politico, is also expected to testify before the grand jury on Friday. Mr. Stone has maintained that he had no contact with Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, and that he learned that what WikiLeaks was doing through public sources and from Mr. Politico, who had a friend in common with Mr. Assange. Mr. Corsi, who has worked with the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones on his InfoWars operation, has dealt with Mr. Stone on and off for years. Mr. Corsi was also one of the people whom President Trump, before he was a candidate, contacted for information about former President Barack Obama's birth certificate, impressing the false claim that Mr. Obama was not born in the United States. Mr. Corsi's name came up when federal agents stopped and detained a professor and author, Ted Malloch, at a Boston airport last March. Mr. Malloch told NBC at the time, among other questions, federal investigators asked him about Mr. Stone, whom he had met a handful of times, about WikiLeaks, and about Mr. Corsi, who had helped edit one of his books. In testimony before the House Intelligence Committee last year, Mr. Stone, who had predicted in a 2016 tweet that Mrs. Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, would face his time in the barrel, said he based his tweet off research given to him by Mr. Corsi, whom he identified as an investigative journalist. He said that Mr. Corsi's research was drawn from the public information related to Mr. Podesta's brother, the lobbyist Tony Podesta. John Podesta's private email account was hacked, quote-unquote, in 2016, and some of the content was posted by WikiLeaks in October 2016, just as Mr. Trump was facing questions about the Access Hollywood tape on which he was recorded in 2005, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Corsi, another one of these guys, and if you are new to QAnon, Jerome Corsi, early on, started coming on a couple of these sites and decoding Q, saying that the White House wanted him to decode Q, and it was real frustrating. It was terrible decoding. None of it made any sense, and most of the people that were hanging out with him and working with him were doing much better decoding than this guy. This guy's a clown as far as I'm concerned. Now, this testimony will be really, really interesting to see what Mueller's going to pull out of him, because yes, indeed, he did know something about Barack Obama's birth certificate, but it wasn't anything that I really think was super breaking news that Corsi got himself. I think this guy's a clown, always kind of has been. He was one of the reasons why I started doing Q in the first place, because he was doing so terribly, and I figured, well, I couldn't do much worse. So there you go. Post 2091 and 2092 go together, but I want to show you that Post 2091 comes in at 58 minutes after the hour of 12. It's a Politico link. Q says, do you believe in coincidences? And we're going to move you on to Post 2092, 8 minutes after the hour of 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Q adds on this Sara Carter link and says the same thing. Do you believe in coincidences? Q. Let's take a look at the Politico link first. Trump allies push him to declassify more Russia probe docs. Do it! Republicans representatives Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, and Lee Zeldin are asking Trump to declassify additional portions of the application the FBI submitted to surveil former Trump campaign aide Carter Page in late 2016. A heavily redacted version was released this month. They also want the president to declassify and release all of the official notes filed by top Justice Department official Bruce Orr, whose relationship with former British spy Christopher Steele has become a focus of Republican inquiries about anti-Trump bias among top law enforcement and intelligence officials. They also intend to seek the declassification of other relevant documents according to a notice issued by Zeldin's office. Okay, well, most of us are pretty much caught up to speed on this, right? Well, I think the only point about this article here is this next paragraph. It's the latest attempt by Trump allies on Capitol Hill to accuse the senior ranks of the Justice Department and FBI of systemic bias. Bureau defenders and Democrats say the effort is really about protecting Trump from the ongoing investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller, which has edged deep inside Trump's inner circle. Okay, so there's the Politico opinion on that. Now let's go to Sara Carter. President Trump may declassify the 20 FISA docs Congress wants. Do it! Yeah, do it! President Trump is expected to declassify the redacted 20 pages of documents from the controversial Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, warrant that have still not been made public, which allowed the FBI to spy on short-term campaign volunteer Carter Page, numerous sources told SaraCarter.com. Okay, you see what the idea is right here. We know what's going on. We know FISA is going to drop any moment. Whopper with cheese, just bring it on. But we've got Politico over here just saying this is just a bunch of bias, blah, 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 blah. You know how the rhetoric goes. And of course, Sara Carter's dropping it to us straight. Let's hear what Sara Carter had to say about this week.
And I think this is going to be an explosive week. There's a lot of information I'm hearing from Capitol Hill, information that will come out this week. Remember, we still are looking for the 20 pages that the House Intelligence Committee has asked on the FISA warrant. That should be coming out. At least that's what I'm hearing. And there's a lot of information, exculpatory information that's going to come out. I think the president should hold tight. I think it's going to be within days.
Well, you heard the woman. Any day now.
What are you waiting for?
I know. Yes. Yes.
So close.
No, you were never close. 2093. 33 minutes after the hour, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we get this YouTube link, and Q says at the 26-minute mark, interesting line of questions, normal, military law versus criminal law. Think executive order. Think HRC panic. Do you believe in coincidences? You have more than you know. And it takes you to this interview, and I already played you the interesting part that we were talking about. We were talking about military justice as well as death penalty for treason. Military law versus criminal law. It's a big difference, isn't it? And those who have been stopped in their tracks because of this December 21st executive order blocking the aid to anybody who abuses human rights has been a massive win for the White Hats. And it's been putting not just HRC in a panic, but the entire deep state, and everyone's going nuck and futz right now trying to figure out how they're gonna react, because they are not the prepared warrior like President Trump is. Do you believe in coincidences? You have more than you know. And here's just a subtle example of how military law works. Listen carefully.
It's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death, and look at this circus of a hearing that's going on. It's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death.
Post 2094, 19 minutes after the hour, 5 p.m., we have an oddly fortuitous visit from Q+, who gives us this Twitter link here to one word: treason. And of course, you don't probably even want to read all the tweets that are below. Boy, I feel bad for the president sometimes. Absolutely ridiculous. From all the people who are not blocked on Twitter, of course. Well, I think we know what's up. Interesting timing considering the circumstances, right? Next post, 2095. Q reminds us exactly what's up between the difference between a patriot and a traitor. A patriot is a person who loves and supports and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. A person who regards him or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government. However, a traitor is a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. A person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. And this was from an older post. Yeah, it looks like February 21st. And then we get this again too. Fellow patriots, what you are about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control. Freedom in brackets. The information that will become public will further demonstrate this criminal and corrupt, pure evil in brackets, abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5 basically referring to basically a world-class avalanche. Stay the course and trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Yeah, like I said, we don't trust the plan because we're hoping for the best. We trust the plan because we put a lot of damn time into this plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. We knew this day would come. And then Q gives us this link here to the speech that will get Donald Trump elected. I'll leave you the link. I'm not going to play it for you again because I'm getting hit with copyright like crazy. United we stand, worldwide. That's all you patriots all around the world. Where we go one, we go all. We fight Conspiracy no more. Q. And on that note, I am going to bid you adieu, Patriots. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all those of you who have been sharing my videos. I greatly appreciate your help and your support. And if you are new to my channel, welcome to you. Please understand that from time to time, Susan Wojcicki of YouTube fame will be unclicking you, unnotifying you, and unsubscribing you because she doesn't like puppies and she doesn't like cake. It's all good. We'll keep pushing on. I'm also on Gab. I'm on BitChute. I'm on Real.Video. And you can join me here on Twitter at IPOT1776, where I spend a lot of my time. That's at IPOT1776. Please, won't you join me here on Twitter? I post a lot of things that I do not post on YouTube. You can also find my email and you can find my Patreon link down below if you'd like to support the channel. All my links are down below in the video description. Okay, kids, that's all I got for you today. And as always, this is Sir Patrick Mack. Stay happy.